So this brings us to the stupidest thing we heard this week.
All right, so the stupidest thing we heard this week comes in the wake of the Alabama Supreme Court ruling that fertilized embryos used in vitro fertilization, IVF, are children legally, the same as full human beings. They're little cells kept in a freezer, same as people, and should have the same legal rights, which would criminalize and possibly imprison women if they have a miscarriage, technicians in the IVF clinic if they accidentally drop the test tube. This is insane, anti-science, fascist ruling. But the stupidest thing about it is not even the ruling. That's not what we're highlighting. The stupidest thing we heard this week is the crowing, the triumphalist, gleeful crowing of the Democratic Party and its mouthpieces over how great this is because it's so unpopular. The Republicans did something that really stepped in it this time. They're in big trouble this time. This is got to be the stupidest thing we heard this week. And there's many examples we could pull from, but this is Alex Wagner of MSNBC, the Democrat, big cable network, talking about how the Republicans got in over their heads with this.
Overturning Roe would lead to all kinds of unforeseen consequences that even the most diehard Christian conservatives would have a hard time reconciling, consequences that would affect even their families. Now, whether Republicans wanted to bury their heads in the sand or whether they truly believed that the Christian conservatism they had injected into American law would not wreak havoc in untold ways, it appears now that they have no plan to deal with any of this.
So then Alex Wagner goes on to show a number of clips of asshole Republicans saying, yes, I agree that fertilized embryos are people. Of course I do. Oh, yes, I support IVF. And they're contradicting themselves because they're ignorant about women's reproduction. Ha, 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 ha. Very, very funny. Alex thinks it's very funny. Ha ha, they look stupid for a news cycle. What does she not say? She does not say that this Supreme Court decision of Alabama Supreme Court was literally based on the Bible. This was a ruling in American law based on the Bible. The Chief Justice of the court, Tom Parker, issued a concurring decision and spent 10 full pages analyzing passages from the Bible and from biblical scholars from the 13th century to justify this ruling. Again, the Bible, the book that says that women who are not virgins when they get married should be stoned to death. The book that says homosexuals should be killed. The book that was written before people understood the germ theory of disease. The book that is filled with anti-science ignorance. The book that says it's okay to own slaves, just don't be coveting your neighbor's slaves. Yes, that Bible. The judge who issued this decision wrote that human life, quote, cannot be wrongfully destroyed without incurring the wrath of a holy God. But never mind the horrific genocidal implications of a biblical literalist ruling like this for LGBTQ people. Never mind the enslavement of women that this is backing up. Never mind the nightmare this means for society as a whole. And never mind the precedent of completely taking a sledgehammer to the fundamental bedrock that's supposed to be in American law of the separation of church and state. Ha, 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 these Republicans look dumb. All right, so then Alex Wagner goes on.
The obfuscation here, the cluelessness, belies one fundamental truth that Republicans know well. This is a losing issue for them. When abortion rights, when reproductive rights are on the ballot, Democrats win. This has happened over and over and over again since the Dobbs ruling in Kentucky, in Ohio, and Pennsylvania. And if Republicans know this truth, so do Democrats. Vice President Kamala Harris addressed the Alabama decision this afternoon.
The irony of it all is that on the one hand, these proponents are suggesting that an individual and a woman does not have the right to end an unwanted pregnancy. And on the other hand, does not have the right to become pregnant if that is her choice and her desire and her dream.
You will be hearing a lot of that in the next 9 months.
All right, you're going to be hearing a lot of that on the trail. Get ready. Get scared, Republicans. Oh, the irony is on the one hand, some fathers want to honor kill their daughters if they refuse to marry the husband that they have chosen for them. Well, on the other hand, some fathers want to kill their daughters for running off and being with the man that is of their choosing and their desire and their dreams. No, there's no irony here. There's a unifying principle between them, which is control over women. That's how slavery works. And that is the goal of these Christian fascists with their assault on abortion rights, with their assault on birth control, and yes, their assault now on IVF. However they end up resolving this particular bump in the road for them, it is about enslaving women to forced motherhood. It is subjugating women to a patriarchal society where it is not up to them. But Kamala won't say that. As for the notion that when abortion is on the ballot, Democrats win, even when that's true, in the overall sense, women still lose. Because when it comes to abortion rights, the Democrats are part of the problem. They have been capitulating and conciliating with the Christian fascist assault on abortion and on women's lives for decades. And the same thing goes when it comes to theocracy as a whole. Just look at how Kamala avoided the issue altogether. She didn't touch the liberation of women, the enslavement of women. She didn't talk about the theocracy of this court ruling because she, whatever her personal views and whatever the personal views of other Democratic Party politicians, represents a party that is a ruling class party of a system, capitalism, imperialism, that requires patriarchy and requires the religious justification of that patriarchy. And on top of this, right now, half of the rulers and huge amounts of the federal court system, all the way up to the Supreme Court, are outright fascists. And these Democrats are terrified of the fight and the disruption it would cause to their system to take on these fascists and defeat them. Again, this could threaten the entire stability of their system as a whole. So they tell you the lie that you are winning when abortion rights ballot initiatives win in a few states, 7 so far, and try to get you to ignore the fact or forget the fact that the fundamental right of women to control their bodies and their lives, the right to abortion, was overturned by the Supreme Court for the country as a whole. And in the same period of time that 7 pro-abortion rights initiatives have been passed, in 7 states, 21 states so far have banned abortion, and they have the initiative and they are on a roll. But look, our interests, the interests of women, the interests of people who care about women and care about justice, do not lie with this system. The stability of this system is not something we should treasure. When it's being ripped apart, we should seize on this. And we need to call for the fury of women and the fury of others against what's being done in the streets to say hell no. To stand up this International Women's Day and to demand and get organized to bring this system down. We need to seize on this to bring the whole system down and bring a whole different way to live into being. So this stands in stark contrast to what is the stupidest thing we heard this week. All this triumphalism, all this lulling you to sleep. And we want to couple the stupidest thing with another call to you right now to stand up and join us in the streets this International Women's Day to break the chains and unleash the fury of women as a mighty force for revolution.